Hello friends, so today's video is going to be my February TBR, or the books that I'm hoping to get around to in the month of February. I have broken up the books I'm hoping to get around to into a couple of different sections, so I'll have timestamps down below if you'd like to jump to any particular part. Also, a big thank you to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring today's video. I have been wearing my classic Ray-Ban pair. They're gold, but they're kind of a neutral gold, so I feel like they go with a lot of different things. I think it's great for flannels and sweaters and those kinds of things. It's a little bit of sophistication, but also kind of the classic round shape. So if you're interested in this pair or GlassesUSA.com in general, I'll have them linked down below. I'm going to start with the new releases that are on my anticipated releases list for the month of February. There's a few different ones that I'm hoping to get around to, and I'm trying to prioritize the ones that have been approved via NetGalley. Pretty much basically all of my new releases that I am anticipating for this season are on NetGalley. If you don't know what that is, it's a website where if you're a reviewer, you can request access to books early. So that's what I've done, and I've been approved for quite a few. So the first one I'll mention would be Age of Ash by Daniel Abraham. This is an author who I've been meaning to pick up for quite a while. If you watched my video about popular authors that I've never read but want to, he is on this list, and I am interested in this quartet he has, the Long Price Quartet, but also I'm interested in this newer book. I don't know too much about it. I believe there's a street thief type of character. The synopsis is rather vague, but this is a well-known and established author, and I really want to pick up one of their works. Seems like it's going to be a fun epic fantasy series. So that's definitely one of the first ones that I'm hoping to get around to. Also, very different would be Castle in Their Bones. This is by Laura Sebastian. I had read the Ash Princess trilogy by this same author, and then I had picked up Half Stick of Shadows. That one didn't end up being quite my cup of tea, but I'm excited to still jump back into another work of hers. And this particular one follows a group of girls, sisters, who have been basically trained since birth in the art of kind of manipulation and intrigue and just recognizing when things are important and how to get people to do what they want, because in their society it's expected for them to be married off, but their mother has plans for them that in being married off they're actually going to gain more power by having the people they're married to fall in line with what they want. So it's kind of the mother's plans for them. And they've all been highly trained. I think it sounds highly entertaining. So that's definitely going to be a nice thing to jump into after something like Age of Ash. We also have Justice of Kings. This one sounds absolutely fantastic, and I've already seen really good things from a couple of my friends. Patrick and Alan have both picked this up already. If you've never checked out their channels, I'll have them linked down below. But this particular one follows actually sort of like the assistant character. The synopsis very much makes it sound like the POV is going to be this man who is kind of judge, detective, jury, execution all in one. But rather than following his perspective, you're following somebody who knows him. And I think that's going to make for an interesting take. And I'm actually really excited about that. The last one of new releases would be The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I just think this sounds absolutely fantastic. I believe it's also going to be a standalone. I'm sure a lot of you have been seeing this one going around. Switching gears and getting into some books that I've been meaning to catch up with because I had them on TBRs in the past and didn't get around to them. And so the two would be Gideon the Ninth and the Fifth Season. I did a You Choose My TBR where there were some books I wanted to give another chance, and the Fifth Season won. So I've been meaning to pick this up. I meant to pick it up last year, but then I decided to try and read pretty much all of the Goodreads nominees for adult and young adult fantasy that were not continuations to series, which has taken up a lot of my time. And so I didn't get around to this one, and I definitely really need to. I've heard absolutely amazing things. When I picked it up in the past, I just wasn't a fan of the second person point of view. I'm hoping that I'll go in now with slightly different expectations and awareness that that is going to be present, and then maybe I can just get over it and not be such a big baby. And then with Gideon the Ninth, this was a buddy read that I was hoping to pick up alongside Jessie from the channel Jessie May. And I actually did start it. I didn't get super far, but I started it and I really liked the beginning. It seemed kind of strange and quirky and eccentric, but I was enjoying it. I've heard it continues to be a little bit strange, but I didn't mind. I think I was worried when I'd heard people describe it that way that it would be too much for my taste, but I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was cheeky. I think I can usually take in strange if it's funny also. And that was sort of the feeling I was getting out of this one. But of course, I was barely into it, so I don't know, and I can't say for certain, but I am hoping to pick this one up. Definitely feels way out of season picking it up in February, but that's okay. I'm just excited to jump into both of these. Since it is the month of love in February, I have one or two romance books that I'm going to try to pick up because I'm trying to read different genres this year. February seems like a good time to pick up that genre. But before I mention the books that are relating to the season of love, I thought I would give a little bit of time to my husband because he's my love. So he's going to let you know what he's hoping to pick up in the month of February.
Hello everyone, this is Sean's Corner. And I'm going to be telling you what I'm possibly likely going to be reading in February. I don't like TBRs necessarily because I don't follow them and I'm very impulsive, but we'll see what happens. I have the instructions by Adam Levin. As you can see, I've already begun this book. I'm actually most of the way through it. This is already read like 600 pages, I think. Got another like 400 pages to go. My original goal was to read all of this in December, and then I failed at that. It is now January. It's kind of early January. Maybe I can finish it, but it's really long. And plot is not a big goal of this book. It is about a young man named Gurion Ben Judah Maccabee, and he's been expelled from various schools. He is now in this program where he's constantly monitored at school, and he was expelled for fighting typically, and he thinks he just might possibly maybe be the Messiah. Next up, I have The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. So I'm going to be reading this alongside Elle, and I'm really excited. Last year I read 1984, I read Fahrenheit 451. Right now I'm actually reading Brave New World. So I've been reading lots of dystopian type classics, and this one sounds like another sci-fi dystopia classic. Actually, I had no idea what it was about, and then I read the synopsis here, and it talks about people being addicted to a drug. So kind of already getting, only just because I'm reading it right now, I'm getting Brave New World-ish vibes, but obviously I'm sure it's different. So I'm very excited for this. I don't know a whole lot, and I'm trying to kind of keep it that way. I don't really want to know much about it, so we'll see. I talked about Brave New World, so I'm reading Brave New World alongside my dad. We're trying to alternate picking books. That was my pick, so we're gonna probably finish that in January. It's not very long, so I am assuming he will be picking something the next book. I just don't know what he will be picking, so that will also be on the TBR. I don't know what he's got in mind. And then lastly, this is kind of, if I get to it, this is You Bright and Risen Angels. This is William T. Vollmann's first novel. I've only read a very tiny bit of William T. Vollmann, and that was his nonfiction. I haven't read any of his novels yet, although I own, I think, 3 of them. So I kind of need to start reading them. This sounds bonkers, so I'm pretty excited about that as well. I'll just read part of the back here because I wouldn't be able to describe it otherwise. It says, in the jungles of South America, on the ice fields of Alaska, the plains of the Midwest, and the streets of San Francisco, a fearsome battle rages. The insects are vying for world domination. The inventors of electricity stand in evil opposition. Bug, a young man, rebels against his own kind and joins forces with the insects. Wayne, a thug, allies himself with the malevolent forces of electricity and vows to assassinate the praying mantis who tends barn organs. So these are literally like giant bugs or something, which, you know, that's fine. So like, what is this? Like, there's symbols in the back. What's going on? All I saw was a symbol and then it said urine. So you're in for a treat. That's all I have for Sean's Corner. February TBR, maybe, possibly. unless I change my mind.
If you want to see more of Sean's thoughts on the books that he's going to be reading, you can join my Patreon. He does update in reading sprints over there. Also, he might occasionally do a video for patrons. He wants to make videos for my channel, but then he thinks about how many people would be watching and it scares him. But he's comfortable chatting with patrons over there. So if you'd like to see more of his thoughts, I'll have my Patreon linked. But anyway, jumping into more of my picks for the month of February, I am hoping to pick up both of these books at some point this year. But for all of you who are more involved in the romance genre, I would love to know which one you think would be a better pick for February. We have Bringing Down the Duke and Beach Read. I think I'm leaning toward Bringing Down the Duke because I think Beach Read feels like a good springtime, summertime read. But if you're like, no, that's so much better. So let me know which one of these should I read for Valentine's Day. And then aside from that, I mentioned in my 22 books for 2022 that while I'm of course going to be picking up a bunch of fantasy because I love fantasy, I am wanting to try and pick up books from other genres, or if it is fantasy, it's maybe slightly outside of my usual kind of fantasy. And that's true for the next book, which would be Parable of the Sower. This is also a book that Sean's hoping to read, so we figured maybe we can try to buddy read it this month. I've heard so much praise for this story. I've heard it's poignant and eerily accurate to what has been going on the past few years. It feels very prophetic. And then last, we have a nonfiction book for the month of February, which would be the new Jim Crow. This, I think, is going to likely read similar, or my experience with this book, I'm guessing, is going to be very much like what I experienced when I read the book Evicted. So if you haven't read Evicted, highly recommend it. It's about eviction. Big surprise. And that book, the author, the amount of research and time and dedication that went into writing about that was unbelievable, and it just was very eye-opening. And I think I'm going to feel very similar about the new Jim Crow. This follows different practices that are in place, especially with the U.S.'s legal system and how it negatively impacts certain people more than others. The author is so... I mean, let me just read a little bit about the author. Michelle Alexander is a highly acclaimed civil rights lawyer, advocate, and legal scholar. She served as an associate professor of law at Stanford Law School and the Moritz College of Law at The Ohio State University. Throughout her legal career, she has won numerous awards and fellowships, including being named a Soros Justice Fellow and a Senior Fellow for the Ford Foundation. And it says that they were a graduate of Stanford Law School and Vanderbilt University. They have so much knowledge on this subject, and I think it's gonna be probably not the happiest of reads, but one that I think is gonna be very insightful and important. If I can, I'll try to read all those new releases I mentioned, as well as all of these, and then if I have the time, maybe jump into a few other things. I know February is a slightly shorter month than usual, so I don't want to put too many books on the TBR. I want to try to read all of these, and then if I have time, read some other things, or maybe catch up on some things I haven't completed by the end of January. But anyway, let me know what you're hoping to read in the month of February. Let me know again which of the romance books do you think should be the one that I pick up. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.